This is Matthew Cratter from Bitcoin University. Today's Toxic Bitcoin Saturday, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the controversies surrounding Bitcoin Magazine, the Bitcoin Nashville 2024 conference, and my own participation in it. I sent out this tweet a couple days ago. Bitcoin Magazine and its owner, David Bailey, have lost the plot with their pivot to focusing so much on inscriptions, ordinals, etc., and other non-monetary uses of Bitcoin. I think it's a huge distraction and a bad look, and not something that I want to be associated with. No Nashville 2024 conference for me, sorry. And a related tweet, we're within a couple of years of a global monetary reset. So what does the flagship Bitcoin conference and magazine choose to focus on? Ordinals, inscriptions, etc. It's a very bad business decision in the long term, but maybe it's good for Bitcoin Magazine's bottom line in the short term. Just to review for people who haven't been following this, I talked about it a bit last year. I haven't really focused on it this year for reasons which I'll explain. Ordinals are an external numbering scheme imposed on individual sats or satoshis. Each Bitcoin is made up of 100 million sats or satoshis. Special note, the Bitcoin protocol itself does not recognize the ordering of sats. Sats do not have serial numbers in the Bitcoin protocol, and you cannot transfer a satoshi or a sat to someone else. When you send sats to someone in a Bitcoin transaction, those sats are completely burnt up. In other words, the UTXO, the unspent transaction output, gets completely spent, and the recipient gets a completely new UTXO and sats. You can own a sat, you can control the keys to a UTXO that contains some sats, but you cannot send that exact sat to someone else. So ordinal theory in itself is hugely misleading to everyone who doesn't know what a UTXO is, which is every single beginner in Bitcoin. And this will become relevant for reasons that you will see later in this video. So that's ordinals and ordinal theory. And then we come to inscriptions, also known as Bitcoin NFTs, but they can really encompass anything, any arbitrary data that you want to store in a Bitcoin block. They do take up block space because they're actually inscribed on the Bitcoin blockchain. They're not held on some external server. Inscriptions are especially annoying since they take advantage of the SegWit witness discount when it comes to fees as well. We've talked about that a little bit in the past. There's this whole category of these new innovations: ordinals, inscriptions, BRC20 tokens, stamps, and in many ways these are not even new inventions. They're just a resurgence of what used to be called colored coins, and there are various versions of this like Omni, etc. But these have been responsible, these ordinals, this sort of recent renaissance in ordinals and related products have been responsible for spiking Bitcoin transaction fees at various points over the past 12 months, as we have covered. Now, they are allowed under current Bitcoin consensus rules, but does this mean that we should do them? Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something, especially, and here's the key point, especially if you have the responsibilities that come with being a prominent media property in the space, as BTC Inc. is. This is the parent company run by David Bailey that owns Bitcoin Magazine, does all these different Bitcoin conferences, Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville, Bitcoin Amsterdam. They own, I believe it's structured as a venture capital fund, UTXO management, and various other properties, as we're going to see, including this property, which is held under UTXO. This is where you could buy and sell inscriptions. And this is an especially scammy business to be in, where you're selling this logo of Bitcoin, for example, for 12 Bitcoin, which is quite a bit of money at this point in time, or 10 Bitcoin for this JPEG of a dollar bill. So this is another part of the BTC Inc. empire. In the wake of this controversy, BTC Inc. is seeking to sever the ties, or at least make them less prominent, between these different media properties. So this is what the Twitter account looks like now for Rare BTC, but just yesterday and a few hours ago, it was Rare BTC by Bitcoin Magazine. And so this was using the Bitcoin Magazine media name to promote selling very scammy products like a Bitcoin logo for 12 Bitcoin. And this is still visible, obviously, on Google. This will eventually disappear, but we can see old tweets. Bitcoin Magazine launches Rare BTC, a white glove service for for collectors and high net worth investors looking for the rare sats and inscriptions to lose money on, or something like that. So this was being brought to you by Bitcoin Magazine under the same property. This is the problem, even if they have editorial firewalls, etc. You have this cross promotion. That's fine. David Bailey's welcome to run his own company how he sees fit, but I think this is a real problem, and this is one of the reasons I pulled out of the speaking at the conference. Here's another example on Bitcoin Magazine talking about how this the same Rare BTC sold an inscription for $60,000. This sort of lunacy has actually been going on for a while, and there's a reason I have not been covering it, but we can review some of it here when Udi Wertheimer and others were behind putting this Taproot's Wizard 4 megabyte NFT into a block last year. We have Udi as well saying we broke Bitcoin. Udi, how I broke Bitcoin, a guy who's more important than Satoshi. These are the kind of speakers that were featured last year at the Bitcoin conference. And one reason I haven't spoken about this is because, of course, of the Streisand Effect, which is where you try to prevent something, stop something, but in doing so, you raise a lot of publicity for it and you draw more eyeballs towards it. So that's what I've been trying to avoid. Unfortunately, it's reached the point where I have to actually speak about these things. And it has been cumulative. Here's a quote-unquote opinion piece in Bitcoin Magazine where the author is the founder of @OnChainMonkey and @MetaGood NFT, a David Bailey UTXO investment. And he mentions the scam project 70 times in the article. We have sponsored articles now in Bitcoin Magazine where you can pay them to promote your shipcoin. Here's a recent one. Karma is the largest fungible token airdrop in Bitcoin history. This is a paid post, which is quite disturbing, and I'll link to this in the description notes below. This is something that should never, ever be run in a Bitcoin only publication, in my opinion. And then you have the education arm of Bitcoin Magazine teaching you how to inscribe inscriptions into Bitcoin, which I don't think is a very good use of time. So this is why I say that they've lost the plot by pivoting so much of their attention and their public focus and their marketing to ordinals, inscriptions, and related products. Does this mean that you shouldn't attend Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. If you're going to be speaking there, if you're going to be attending there, there's no judgment whatsoever. And I'm very sad, actually, that I will not be there. Am I trying to sabotage the conference? Absolutely not. There are many, many wonderful people who are working hard to put on this conference. So if you already have a ticket, you should go and see Saylor and all the other speakers who are going to be there. Bitcoin Magazine, in addition, has published many, many wonderful articles over the years, and it pains me to hurt my Bitcoin brothers and sisters who work at BTC Inc. But it's also not my fault that David Bailey has chosen this particular path. And after a lot of introspection, it's not a path that I want to be associated with. I think it's a path that's going to get a lot of newcomers to Bitcoin wrecked. And one of the main purposes of my channel has been to save people from scams like Celsius, Hex, NFTs, etc. And so I don't want to participate in this. It's one thing to get wrecked by a shipcoin. It's much worse to get wrecked by unethical people doing Bitcoin affinity schemes like BTC Inc. is involved with. And I think selling naive and stupid people rare sats and Bitcoin NFTs is going to get them wrecked. It's not going to turn them into Bitcoiners. If anything, it's going to get newcomers to Bitcoin. It's going to make them hate Bitcoin and Bitcoiners after they inevitably get wrecked. So this is basically a strategy that they've chosen, and David has spoken about it in his Twitter account over the past year or so, this idea of onboarding newcomers through degeneracy. That's my term. That's not exactly how he would phrase it. But I don't believe that NFTs or shipcoins on Bitcoin is an effective strategy for onboarding newcomers to Bitcoin. The typical noob's journey to Bitcoin is something like dabble in XRP or Hex or Cardano or other garbage like this, or maybe buy some Bitcoin and give it to Celsius or FTX or BlockFi for some yield, get wrecked, and then never come back. Or hopefully figure out that everything else is noise and scams and Bitcoin is pure signal. So do we really need Bitcoin Magazine and related media properties and companies selling scammy products to newcomers in order to increase adoption? Or is that just a rationalization for David Bailey or by David Bailey to increase revenues by selling quote unquote rare sats and bad art? I think a better marketing strategy is this, that people are already fed up with the inflation that they see in their everyday lives. There's a massive monetary reset on the way. There may be global war coming. Let them know instead about how Bitcoin can protect their family and their finances. I think this is the proper way to onboard newcomers, not by peddling them degeneracy and garbage, which has always been the same marketing strategy used by shipcoin scammers themselves. Stefan Livera makes a great point in this tweet, and I believe he's not going to be speaking at the conference either. Some of the Bitcoin technical community, Bitcoin dev technical community love to remind people that you can't easily stop inscriptions, BRC20 tokens, etc. And fair enough, spam is generally a hard thing to stop on the internet. But here's the key point. But there's a difference between that and actually spamming the chain yourself investing in spam and promoting spam. And this is what I think BTC Inc. does way too much of. Bitcoin, again, it is an open permissionless system. You can use your precious time on earth to try to fill up blocks with wizards or bad art or CP or whatever crap you want to. You can even try to convince people to buy your rare sats. I can't stop you from spamming the chain. I can try to, but I can't completely stop it. But what I can do is to distance myself from you and call you out for being a perv, an idiot, an engagement farmer, an unethical huckster. And these are not all terms that I'm applying to David Bailey, to be clear. But what I'm saying is just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. And we all have ethical responsibilities here. Another thing I can do is I can also point the hash from my Bitcoin mining rig to ethical mining pools that filter out this garbage, like Ocean, which I'm currently pointing my hash to and mining with. It looks like this controversy is blown up big enough for Bitcoin Bugle to run an article on it. This is obviously a parody website, but I thought this was a pretty funny article. I think Francis of Bull Bitcoin has a very good suggestion here in terms of Bitcoin Magazine. If they choose to, again, this is someone else's business, but I think this is a good suggestion. This would be their new editorial policy that NFTs are shipcoins. Shipcoins on Bitcoin are still shipcoins. Then apply the same policy as shipcoins. It's very simple. And then Francis adds a PS. This is the policy I told David after Bitcoin 2022 when the Rare Pepe NFTs ruined the art gallery, almost verbatim. And I think David has chosen a different path. That's fine, but a lot of people, not just me, are fed up with it. John Carvalho with a great tweet here. Okay, I'm done with Bitcoin Magazine, BTC Inc. and all its people, projects, and events. I wouldn't go quite that far. If you work for these media properties, that's your decision, and I don't judge you for it, and I'm not going to call you out for it. But John Carvalho here saying boycotted, blacklisted, and blocked. All management needs to be replaced, and really new ownership is probably needed. Again, this is an ironic turn of events because Vitalik Buterin is the one who used to run Bitcoin Magazine. So we can see this slippery slope. I think Giacomo Zucco also makes a good point here. The hard lesson once learned by Consensus Conference in New York City, now learned again, once again, in Nashville. Nothing is ever new in Bitcoin. Create the largest Bitcoin conference in the world, turn it into a crypto fest. Fiend, BTC Prague, and Pacific Bitcoin are copying us. Not a bad meme in itself. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.